On October 15, 1963, a male child was born who would one day change the lives of thousands of people whom he touched. His very birth brought to pass the word of God in Jeremiah 1:5, which states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." From the moment Leofric William Thomas Sr. was placed in his mother's arms, these words began to come to pass. However, his birth was just the beginning of one half of what would be one day a prolific and powerful story of love, commitment to the Word of God, and great faith. Exactly 1 month and 3 days prior to the birth of Leofric Thomas, the sun began to shine a little brighter as a beautiful and bubbly baby girl entered the world in Cocoa, Florida. Sandy Lorraine Buckner was born on September 12, 1963. Immediately, her parents knew that she would make a huge impact in this world. Sandy loved Jesus with all of her heart, mind, and soul, and even as a child understood the importance of serving God and being true to His Word. As she set out on her own path, she had no idea that one day she would be introduced to the man who was destined to become her husband, father of her children, spiritual leader, and partner in ministry. What she was certain of, however, is that her steps were being ordered by God.
After high school, Leofric Thomas matriculated to Florida Memorial College, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in music education. The beautiful Lady Sandy set out on her own path as well, attending Jones Business College in Jacksonville. Upon her graduation, she worked in the area of finance at Barnett Bank. However, God was already at work in both their lives, and soon they would embark upon the destiny that was set out for them all along. Leofric W. Thomas Sr. had many persons who had a spiritual influence in his life. Not only his grandfather, Reverend B.L. Wynn, but also Bishop Tom E. Diamond was one of those spiritual fathers. He saw something very special in Leofric Thomas. That something was the unmistakable mark of the call of God on his life. Though he had his own plans for his future, there came a time when Leofric Thomas himself could no longer run from that call, and eventually answer with a resounding yes to the will of God. During that time, he was also introduced to Sandy Buckner, and it was then when the perfect will of God began to take root and blossom in their lives. As he gave his initial sermon, she sat in the balcony of the Abyssinia Church praying for him. Pastor Thomas went on to Virginia Union School of Theology, where he earned a Master of Divinity degree. He and Lady Sandy were eventually joined in holy matrimony in March of 1989, and to that union, two beautiful and blessed children, Leofric William Thomas Jr. and Christian Lorraine Thomas, were born.
We are blessed to have such a dynamic duo as our Bishop and First Lady. Together, they have made an indelible mark in the Christian community and have impacted so many lives. Coming back to Jacksonville brought a great sense of joy, but it also served as the source of strengthening. Determined to be led by the Spirit of God rather than the rule of man, Pastor Thomas and Lady Sandy bravely went through every obstacle that was hurled their way, knowing that in the end, God's will would be done, and ultimately, pleasing Him far outweighed the importance of pleasing man. Finally, the plan of God was brought to full fruition in April of 1999. As a result of their faith and trust in God, Open Arms Christian Fellowship Church was birthed, moving to higher ground and greater commitment. We are so blessed to have such an awesome gift in Bishop Thomas, Lady Sandy, LJ, and Christian. God has truly smiled on us. Their faithfulness to God and to the advancing of the kingdom has led to their elevation in many ways. In July of 2015, Leofric W. Thomas Sr. was consecrated as a bishop in the Lord's Church. However, if you were to ever ask him, it is not the title that is the nearest and dearest to Bishop Thomas's heart, but rather it is knowing that he is able to be used as God's mouthpiece to win souls to Christ that he sees as the greater accomplishment. Not only is he an anointed preacher-teacher, but he is an extremely gifted psalmist and has been a part of several music projects, including his own debut CD, With You Always. And Lady Sandy has been by his side every step of the way.
Highly anointed and talented in her own right, she serves as his partner in ministry and is co-founder of the Open Arms Church. She has been the source and comfort and strength to many people and a helpmeet to Bishop Thomas in every meaning of the word. When she made the decision years ago to leave corporate America and heed to the will of God and become full-time in ministry, she has never looked back. It is selfless acts such as these that make us love our first family even more. Most recently, she was elevated to Pastor Sandy by Bishop Thomas. Anyone who has a conversation with her for 5 minutes can see that she is truly pastoral in her own right. We have also been blessed to see LJ and Christian grow up into two wonderful and God-fearing young adults. They are positive role models for the youth as well as leaders in their community and church. They too realize the hand of God in their lives from an early age and have used their many gifts and talents to serve and honor here at the Open Arms Christian Fellowship and beyond. Yes, Open Arms, we are blessed beyond measure. So we take this time out to say that we appreciate the gift we have in our first family. We honor God and we honor them. We vow to never take them for granted and to always keep them lifted before Christ. Every obstacle they have faced in this journey was necessary to get them to this point and through it all. Because they remain faithful to God and stood upon His word, they have truly made it. Let's love on them like never before. We are so thankful for our first family. We love, honor, and appreciate you more than you'll ever know. You are divinely appointed, speaks with wisdom, and God's delegated authority. To God be the glory for the great things He has done. Open Arms loves our first family.